My name is Clara. While I was in emergency surgery fighting for my life, the two people who were supposed to love me most walked into my home and stole the one thing I held dear. But they didn't just take a priceless heirloom. They put a price tag on my suffering and sold my private grief to the internet for clout and quick cash. They thought I was broken. They thought I'd stay quiet just to keep the peace. But they forgot what I do for a living. I'm an auditor. I don't scream, I don't cry, and I don't make scenes. I just keep receipts. And when I finally handed them my gift on the biggest night of my sister's life, it took less than 3 minutes to dismantle their entire world. So, how do you systematically destroy the manipulators in your family without ever raising your voice? Let's just say, revenge is a game best played in public with 411 pages of cold, hard facts. Before we dive into how it all went down, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story of ultimate, elegant revenge. And drop a comment down below. Where in the world are you watching from, and what time is it for you right now? I'd love to see where everyone is tuning in from. My grandmother, Evelyn, always told me that true strength isn't loud. When she passed away, she left me her prized possession, a custom-made 1980s diamond ring. It wasn't just about the market value. It was a piece of family history, uniquely crafted with an intricate vintage band and an inscription hidden inside the inner rim: "Stand firm, shine bright." Grandma Evelyn specifically named me as the sole heir to this ring in her will. My mother, Eleanor, hated that decision. She always felt my younger sister, Chloe, deserved the family treasures because Chloe was her golden child, the rising social media star who could do no wrong. 3 months ago, my world shattered in a matter of hours. I suffered a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. The pain was excruciating, and by the time my husband rushed me to the emergency room, I was bleeding internally. I underwent emergency surgery, barely escaping with my life. The physical loss was devastating, but the emotional trauma left me completely paralyzed. I spent 4 days in the hospital recovering, sedated and unable to move much. During those 4 days, I needed my family. I expected support. Instead, I got opportunistic betrayal. Eleanor and Chloe came to my apartment under the pretense of checking in and picking up some clothes for me. My husband, frantic and staying by my hospital bedside, gave my mother the key code to our front door. That was our biggest mistake. Instead of grabbing loungewear or toiletries, my mother went straight to my bedroom safe. She knew the combination because I had shared it with her years ago during a family emergency. She opened the safe, retrieved the velvet box containing Grandma Evelyn's ring, and handed it directly to Chloe. They didn't touch anything else. They didn't pack clothes. They came with one specific mission: to rob me while I was hooked up to IV drips in a hospital bed. When I was finally discharged, weak and emotionally drained, I noticed something was off immediately. The velvet box on my nightstand was missing. Panic surged through me as I checked the safe. It was completely empty. I called my mother right away, holding out hope that maybe she had taken it for safekeeping. "Mom, where is Grandma's ring?" I asked, keeping my voice as steady as I could. Eleanor didn't even hesitate. "Chloe needed it, Clara. She's planning her dream wedding and needed something old and borrowed. Besides, you're in no state to be worrying about jewelry right now." "It wasn't yours to give," I said, my chest tightening. "That ring was willed to me. Bring it back today." "Don't be selfish," Eleanor snapped back, her tone turning cold and manipulative. "You just lost a baby, Clara. Don't ruin your sister's happiness over a piece of metal. Family shares. Get over yourself." She hung up on me before I could respond. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the empty nightstand. In that single moment, the pain of my physical loss hardened into something else: pure, clear focus. My mother and sister saw my vulnerability as an opportunity to plunder my heritage. They thought I was too broken, too grief-stricken to fight back. They thought I would cry, scream, and eventually surrender just to keep the peace. They were wrong. I didn't call the police immediately, nor did I blow up Chloe's phone with angry text messages. Hysteria gets you nowhere, and screaming only gives narcissists the drama they crave. Grandma Evelyn didn't raise me to throw temper tantrums. She raised me to stand firm. If my mother and sister wanted to play dirty while I was down, I was going to make sure they paid for every single cent and every drop of dignity they stole from me. The long game had just begun. 2 days after my phone call with Eleanor, my sister Chloe made her move. She didn't just quietly keep the ring, she weaponized it for online clout. Chloe posted a 90-second video on her main social media platform, showing herself walking out of Delcroix pawn shop with an envelope full of cash. In the video, she flashed a smug smile and held up the cash bundle directly to the camera. Sometimes making your dream honeymoon happen requires bold, authentic choices, Chloe announced in her video, using her typical breathless influencer voice. I sold an old family relic today for $3,900. Why let vintage gold sit in a dark drawer when it can pay for first-class flights to St. Lucia? Out with the old, in with the new. Hashtag priorities, hashtag bridal glow, hashtag authentic living. The video blew up instantly. Hundreds of thousands of views rolled in, with her followers praising her unapologetic independence. She had pawned my grandmother's custom 1980s diamond ring for a fraction of its actual worth, purely to fund 2 weeks in the Caribbean. I saved the video, downloaded the raw file with all the timestamps, and stored it safely in a dedicated folder. An hour later, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a local number, Delcroix Pawn Shop. I answered immediately. "Is this Clara?" A composed, mature voice asked on the other end. "Yes, this is Clara. Who is calling?" "My name is Martha. I own Delcroix Pawn Shop," the woman replied smoothly. "Your sister came into my shop this morning and sold me a custom vintage diamond ring with an inner inscription that reads, 'Stand firm, shine bright.'" My heart rate stayed steady. I saw her video. "I figured you might," Martha said. "I knew your grandmother, Evelyn. Back in 1985, Evelyn commissioned that exact ring right here in my shop. When your sister walked in claiming it was her personal inheritance, I played along. I bought it from her for $3,900 just to ensure the ring didn't end up in the hands of some random buyer." "Thank you, Martha," I said, feeling a surge of gratitude. "That ring was stolen from my safe while I was in the hospital." "I suspected as much," Martha stated plainly. "Your grandmother was a sharp woman, Clara. Before she passed, she told me that if anyone other than you ever brought this ring into my shop, I should hold it and call you immediately. She knew the rest of your family had long fingers and short tempers." Martha didn't stop there. She was a professional through and through. "I've already secured the high-definition security camera footage of the entire transaction," Martha explained. "I have the signed bill of sale where Chloe falsely swore under penalty of perjury that she was the legal owner. I also have the copy of her driver's license she provided at the counter. Everything is logged." "Can I come pick up the ring and the documentation?" I asked. "The ring stays safely in my vault for now, so we don't mess up the legal paper trail," Martha advised. "But come by the shop this afternoon. I have the video files, the purchase contracts, and something else your grandmother left with me 3 years ago." When I arrived at Delcroix Pawn Shop, Martha handed me a USB drive containing the video footage, a certified copy of the bill of sale, and a sealed envelope labeled "For Clara." Inside was a handwritten note from Grandma Evelyn, legally documenting the ring's provenance and explicitly stating that Eleanor and Chloe were never granted any rights to her personal jewelry. Chloe thought she was playing for likes and views on social media. She had no idea she had just handed me bulletproof, ironclad evidence. Having the pawn shop records in my hands was a massive win, but I knew Eleanor's betrayal ran deeper than a stolen piece of jewelry. Later that evening, I drove over to my Aunt Sarah and Uncle David's house. Aunt Sarah was my father's older sister, a sharp, retired corporate auditor who had no tolerance for my mother's manipulative antics. If anyone knew how to pull back the curtain on Eleanor, it was her. I laid out the USB drive, the bill of sale, and Grandma Evelyn's letter on their dining table. Aunt Sarah read through every document without saying a word, her lips set in a tight, firm line. Uncle David sat beside her, shaking his head in disbelief. "She crossed a line this time, Clara," Aunt Sarah said, sliding the papers back to me. Pawning your grandmother's ring while you were in the hospital isn't just cruel, it's criminal. But Eleanor isn't acting alone in her head. She's been fueling a bigger fire. What do you mean? I asked. Aunt Sarah opened her laptop and turned the screen toward me. 3 weeks ago, David and I stumbled upon something troubling. Have you ever heard of an Instagram account called @CharlestonMatriarch? I stared at the screen. The handle was @CharlestonMatriarch, boasting over 150,000 followers. The bio read, navigating Southern family ties, motherhood, and healing through life's hardest trials. My stomach churned as I scrolled through the feed. The account was loaded with photos of me. I looked closer for my wedding, candid photos from family dinners, and worst of all, a photo taken of me in the hospital bed just days ago, sleeping, hooked up to monitors, looking pale and fragile. The caption under my hospital photo read, "My heart aches as my eldest daughter endures the heavy burden of loss, praying for our family's healing during this dark season." It had over 20,000 likes and hundreds of monetized affiliate links attached to the post for wellness products and tea brands. She's been running this account secretly for 3 full years, Uncle David explained, tapping a legal notepad. She uses your personal life and private struggles as content to drive traffic to her sponsored posts and affiliate links. She's making thousands of dollars off your pain, Clara. I looked closer at the timestamps. Eleanor had taken that hospital photo while my husband was out grabbing coffee, right before she and Chloe raided my apartment safe. She'd had exploited my medical crisis for clout in the morning and robbed my home by the afternoon. She didn't tag your real account so you would never find out, Aunt Sarah added. She blocked your profile, your husband's profile, and all your close friends. She only missed me because I used my secondary account for gardening groups. A cold, sharp clarity settled over me. This wasn't just about my sister wanting money for a tropical honeymoon. My mother had built a lucrative digital brand on the back of my privacy, using my life as free material for her financial gain. We need to document every single post, I said, my voice steady and unwavering. Every photo of me, every caption, every brand sponsorship, and every affiliate link code. Already ahead of you, Uncle David replied, holding up a thick binder. Sarah and I have been screen recording the feed and archiving every photo she posted without your consent. In the eyes of the law, using your likeness for commercial gain without permission is a direct copyright and publicity rights violation. I closed the laptop gently. Eleanor thought she was a genius strategist, puppeteering her family from behind a screen. She thought I was just passive collateral damage in her pursuit of online influence. But every post she made was another brick in the wall I was building around her. I had the pawn shop evidence, and now I had her illegal income stream pinned down. The trap was almost set. Instead of dragging my family through months of tedious courtroom battles, I chose a far more immediate and surgical venue for my revenge, Chloe's exclusive pre-wedding bridal luncheon. It was held at an upscale restaurant downtown, reserved for 22 select guests, including Mark, his parents, and his prominent conservative family. My father, Arthur, sat beside my mother, completely oblivious to what was about to unfold. Eleanor and Chloe had assumed I was sitting alone at home, broken and grieving. They were completely unprepared when I walked into the private dining room, dressed impeccably, carrying a sleek box of spiral-bound dossiers. Chloe's fake smile froze the moment she saw me. She immediately stood up, adjusting her expensive white dress, her voice dripping with irritation. "Clara, what are you doing here? This is a private gathering for family and close friends. You're making everyone uncomfortable." "I'm just delivering a wedding gift, Chloe," I replied smoothly, keeping my tone perfectly conversational and polite. "I brought something everyone in this room deserves to see." Without waiting for an answer, I handed a 411-page bound document to each of the 22 guests, dropping the first copy right in front of Mark's mother. At the same time, I plugged my personal tablet into the venue's overhead projector system. Before Eleanor or Chloe could react, the large screen on the wall flickered to life. "Welcome, everyone," I announced, standing at the head of the room with the composure of an executive launching a quarterly review. Today, we're looking at a comprehensive audit of family trust and financial fraud. The first slide hit the wall, a series of enlarged, high-resolution text messages between Eleanor and Chloe. The timestamp was dated the exact morning I was in the operating room undergoing emergency surgery for my ruptured ectopic pregnancy. On the screen, Eleanor's message read clearly, "While Clara is under anesthesia, go to her apartment. Her husband left the key code. Open the bedroom safe and grab Evelyn's diamond ring before anyone asks questions." Chloe's reply was displayed right underneath. "Got it. Pawn shop opens at 9. Honeymoon is paid for." Gasps rippled across the room. Mark's father raised his eyeglasses in utter shock, looking down at the printed text logs in his hands. Chloe's face drained of all color. She turned frantically to Mark. "Mark, babe, it's a setup. She's lying." "Keep watching," I said, transitioning calmly to the next slide. The screen switched to crisp, high-definition video footage provided by Martha from Delqua Pawn Shop. The 22 guests watched in stunned silence as Chloe handed over Grandma Evelyn's custom ring, signed the legal bill of sale, and greedily counted $3,900 in cash. Beside that clip, I played Chloe's viral social media video, where she boasted about her bold, authentic choice to sell a family relic. "And finally," I said, advancing to the final section of the presentation, "let me introduce you to @CharlestonMatriarch." The screen displayed my mother's secret Instagram account. I showed the photo of me lying vulnerable in a hospital bed, taken by Eleanor without my knowledge, paired with affiliate purchase links for sponsored wellness products. The 411 pages in their lap detailed 3 full years of Eleanor illegally monetizing my private life without consent. "Every single document in your hands has been legally backed up," I concluded smoothly. "You wanted social media attention and quick cash at my expense. Consider this your official public launch." The silence in the room was absolute. Eleanor sat paralyzed, while Mark looked at Chloe in disgust, slowly taking his engagement ring box out of his jacket pocket. The silence in the dining room hung heavy for a few excruciating seconds before Mark stood up from his chair. His face was rigid, devoid of the warmth he had shown just an hour earlier. He looked at the printed text logs spread out across his plate, then turned his gaze towards Chloe. "Mark, please," Chloe sobbed, reaching out to touch his arm. "She fabricated all of this. She's jealous because I'm getting married and she's not." Mark pulled his arm away cleanly, avoiding her touch entirely. "Clara didn't fabricate high-definition pawn shop security footage, Chloe. She didn't fabricate your signed legal bill of sale or your own social media video where you boasted about selling her ring." Mark's mother stood up next, her expression cold and aristocratic. She picked up her handbag and looked directly at Eleanor and Chloe. "My family has spent 40 years building a clean reputation in this city. We will not tie our name, our business, or our estate to thieves and scam artists who exploit their own family's tragedy." "Mrs. Vance, wait," Eleanor pleaded, stepping forward with her hands raised. "This is just a misunderstanding. Family matters should stay private." "You made it public the moment you put it on Instagram for ad revenue, Eleanor," Mark's father interjected, his voice stern and uncompromising. He looked at his son. "Mark, let's go." Mark didn't look back. He slipped his ring box into his pocket, adjusted his jacket, and looked at Chloe one last time. "The wedding is canceled. Don't call me, don't come to my house, and my lawyers will be contacting you regarding the deposits my family already paid." Within 3 minutes, half the room emptied out as Mark's family and their distinguished guests walked out in total disgust. The remaining guests quietly grabbed their coats and hurried toward the exit, leaving Eleanor and Chloe standing in the middle of a deserted party. That was when my father, Arthur, finally moved. He had been sitting motionless at the head table, staring down at page 42 of the dossier, the precise, time-stamped text messages showing Eleanor organizing the theft while I was in surgery. Arthur had spent 32 years married to my mother, always believing she was a bit vain, but fundamentally a loving matriarch. Seeing the raw evidence of her calculating cruelty,
shattered him completely. Arthur stood up slowly, his hands trembling as he closed the heavy binder. He looked at Eleanor, not with anger, but with profound disappointment. "Arthur, honey, say something," Eleanor whined, rushing to his side. "Tell Clara she's out of line. She ruined your daughter's big day." Arthur looked Eleanor straight in the eyes. "You robbed our eldest daughter while she was in a hospital bed losing a child. You posted her suffering online for internet money, and you let Chloe brag about it." "I did it for our family," Eleanor insisted, her voice growing shrill.
"No, you did it for yourself," Arthur said, his voice quiet but razor sharp. "I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm packing my bags today. I'm staying with Sarah and David until I decide what legal steps I'm taking next." "Arthur, you can't leave me over this," Eleanor yelled. My father ignored her completely. He walked over to me, placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, and whispered, "I am so sorry, Clara. I should have protected you." "You're doing the right thing now, Dad," I replied softly. Arthur walked out of the restaurant, leaving my mother and sister standing in the ruins of their own making. I unplugged my tablet, packed my documents back into my bag, and looked at Eleanor one last time. "You ruined Chloe's life," Eleanor spat at me, her eyes burning with rage. "No," I replied calmly, buttoning my coat. "You two ruined it the moment you put a price tag on my grief. I'm just settling the invoice." The morning after the bridal luncheon, while my mother and sister were drowning in the immediate social fallout, Aunt Sarah, Uncle David, and I launched the second phase of our strategy. Public exposure at a party hit their egos, but taking away their financial lifeline hit where it truly hurt. We sat down at Uncle David's home office desk, preparing a series of formal legal DMCA copyright takedown notices against my mother's secret Instagram page at Charleston Matriarch. Because Eleanor had used unedited, high-resolution original photographs of me, including private photos from my wedding and my hospital stay, I held the sole legal ownership over my likeness under U.S. copyright law. Uncle David, who had meticulously archived every single post alongside their digital metadata, submitted 34 distinct copyright infringement claims directly to Meta's legal compliance team. We attached formal sworn affidavits, hospital record dates proving I was incapacitated, and legal identification verifying that no commercial release form was ever granted to her. The response from Meta's legal division was swift and absolute. Within 48 hours, Eleanor's @Charleston Matriarch account was flagged for widespread digital theft and fraudulent commercial monetization. Instagram didn't just delete the stolen posts, they permanently banned the account due to repeated severe violations of their terms of service. In a single stroke, my mother's 3 years of calculated exploitation vanished into thin air. All her pending affiliate payouts, brand commissions, and accumulated digital earnings were frozen permanently by the platform, cutting off her income completely. Chloe's financial collapse was even more catastrophic. In the digital media world, scandalous news travels at lightning speed. Within 24 hours of Mark canceling the wedding, word about the stolen ring and the fraudulent authentic living narrative spread like wildfire across local social circles and online commentary boards. A guest from the luncheon leaked key summaries of my 411-page dossier to several prominent online blogs. The public backlash was immediate and ruthless. Over the next 3 days, Chloe lost more than 200,000 followers across her social platforms. Her primary sponsor, a luxury bridal brand that had signed her to a lucrative promotional contract, issued a public statement ending their relationship immediately due to ethics violations. 4 other active corporate sponsors followed suit, canceling her contracts, pulling their promo codes, and demanding full refunds for prepaid promotional posts. Chloe's entire online business model dissolved overnight, leaving her personally responsible for over $40,000 in canceled wedding deposits, legal fees, and venue penalties. My phone rang late Thursday afternoon. It was Eleanor. Her voice lacked the sharp, controlling edge she had used for years. Instead, she sounded completely frantic, breathless, and hyperventilating. "Clara, what did you do to my Instagram account?"
Eleanor shrieked into the speaker. "My page is completely deleted. My bank transfers were frozen. Over $18,000 in quarterly affiliate income is just gone. Undo this right now." "I didn't delete your account, Eleanor," I responded calmly, my voice steady and unwavering. "You built an income stream by stealing my likeness, exploiting my medical emergency, and violating federal copyright law. I simply submitted the legal documentation to Meta. They enforced their own rules." "You're destroying your own family," she screamed, her voice cracking with desperation. "Chloe lost all her corporate sponsors. She's down over 200,000 followers. You are bankrupting your mother and your sister." "No," I replied smoothly. "You bankrupted yourselves the moment you decided to monetize my pain. Actions have consequences, Eleanor. Welcome to yours." I hung up the phone before she could scream another word, permanently blocking her number across all my devices. The financial traps they set for me had snapped shut on them instead. On Friday morning, I drove down to Delqua Pawn Shop to complete the final step of my journey. With the police report cleared and the bill of sale officially invalidated due to Chloe's fraudulent claim of ownership, the legal paper trail was fully closed. Martha met me at the door of her shop with a warm, knowing smile. She walked me over to her private office, unlocked her heavy steel safe, and brought out the familiar black velvet box. "It's right where it belongs, Clara," Martha said gently, setting the box down on her desk. She opened the lid, revealing Grandma Evelyn's custom 1980s diamond ring resting against the soft fabric. The vintage gold band and the distinct diamond setting caught the morning light, gleaming just as bright as it did when I was a child. I reached down and picked up the ring. Turning it slightly in my fingers, I looked at the inner inscription etched inside the band. "Stand firm, shine bright." For weeks, my mother and sister tried to reduce this family heirloom to a quick payout and social media clout. They thought they could strip away my dignity while I was down, treating my grief as content and my inheritance as cash. But holding the ring now, I realized they hadn't destroyed anything. They had only revealed their true nature, while forcing me to discover my own strength. Instead of placing the ring on my left ring finger, I slid it smoothly onto the ring finger of my right hand. In American tradition, a right-hand ring isn't about marriage, expectations, or a man. It's a statement of independence, female strength, and personal achievement. It was a physical reminder that I survived my medical trauma, stood up against generational toxicity, and protected my grandmother's legacy. "Your grandmother would be incredibly proud of you," Martha said, resting a hand over mine. "Evelyn always knew you had the backbone of this family. She knew you wouldn't let anyone push you around." "Thank you, Martha," I replied, looking her in the eyes, "for keeping your word, holding the evidence, and honoring her memory." The fallout from that week permanently reshaped our family dynamic. My father, Arthur, moved forward with filing for divorce from Eleanor. He officially cut off all financial support for her and Chloe, moving into a townhome near Aunt Sarah and Uncle David. For the first time in 30 years, my father was free from my mother's narcissistic control, focused entirely on rebuilding his own peace of mind and repairing his relationship with me. As for Eleanor and Chloe, their isolation was absolute. Stripped of her secret Instagram account, her brand deals, and her reputation, Eleanor was forced to return to a quiet, humiliated life without her online audience. Chloe was left drowning in broken venue contracts, lost brand sponsorships, and a completely shattered social standing. Without Mark's wealthy family or their online followers to validate them, the two of them were left with nothing but each other's resentment. I didn't send them angry letters, nor did I seek any further contact. True elegance and revenge isn't about endless conflict. It's about absolute disengagement once justice is served. I closed the door on their toxic behavior completely, changing my phone number and establishing strict boundaries that ensured they would never have access to my life again. Standing outside Delqua Pawn Shop in the bright afternoon sun, I looked down at the diamond rings sparkling on my right hand. The physical recovery from my surgery was complete. The emotional weight of my loss had turned into quiet resilience, and my home was finally peaceful. Grandma Evelyn was right. True strength isn't loud. It's sitting calmly at a table, bringing the facts and letting the truth dismantle the lies. I took a deep breath, stepped into my car, and drove forward into my new life, completely unburdened and entirely free.